Mysterious rituals, gnarly burps, bird attacks, UFOs, and ghosts. These are live broadcasts that took an unexplained turn. In 2021, an Australian news presenter named Yvonne Young was in the middle of covering a story about a police dog that had been attacked in Brisbane, along with a segment on new legislation, when something strange happened during the broadcast. So right in the middle of the report, the feed suddenly cuts to a completely unrelated clip. One moment it's a standard news segment with officials in suits, and then out of nowhere, a satanic ritual. The newscaster just pauses for a brief moment trying to process what she just saw, but then no acknowledgement, she just continues reading, keeping everything together and moving on with the segment. As for where that ritual footage came from, nobody knows. And this is probably one of my favorite videos on the internet. During this live broadcast in Finland, I believe, this man expertly avoided throwing up on air. Well, technically he did throw up, he just kept himself composed enough to make it as minimally embarrassing as possible. Take a look.
Mikäli maakuntiasukka niin haluaa.
I mean, what a hero. We've all burped and had a little bit of liquid come up and had to swallow it, but I mean, that was not a little bit. That was clearly a struggle. You could tell that he knew this was coming the entire time too. He was fighting it as long as he could. Just a few seconds on the clock and he hold it, no. And then... I mean, I haven't seen a save like that ever. If I'm barfing, it's coming out with force. Ursula Heger, a journalist for Channel 10 in Australia, was mid-broadcast doing a fairly standard live report. She was covering a story about an Australian sports figure who'd been accused of harassing a police officer. Well, partway through explaining the details, something completely unexpected really broke the flow. A small bird suddenly swooped down from off camera. At first it just flew close, but it kept coming back in and repeatedly smacked her in the head. Ursula tried to keep talking through it, clearly fighting to stay focused, but it just kept happening over and over. It looked purposeful, honestly. This bird clearly had some kind of vendetta against this reporter. At one point she actually crouches down, trying to get out of its flight path, but that really doesn't work either. The bird just flies down lower. It gets to the point where the bird hooks its feet into her hair, tangling itself in while flapping its wings against her head. She does manage to keep going for a bit, but it's obvious she's struggling not to break. Eventually, she loses the battle and just starts laughing. Luckily, we don't film our videos outside here because I have a hard time getting through these videos without birds flapping in my face. Here's another fun one. This happened a few years ago. Alabama politician Kay Ivey was in the middle of this news conference when this happened.
We're getting a slight increase in the number of doses that we'll be getting to the state.
I've watched this video like 100 times and it never gets old.
We're getting a slight increase.
Listen to that.
We're getting a slight increase.
It's so wet and just meaty. That came from like the guts. Oh, I mean, to call that a burp is a grave injustice. That is a belch. And then she just continues on like nothing happened just there. I mean, if I'm in this situation, right, I'm on live TV, I'm on the news, and I let this deep guttural eruption out, I'm gonna have to give it some acknowledgement. I mean, make a casual joke, you know, address it on some level. I mean, this?
We're getting a slight increase.
That is not something that we just brush past. I mean, how everyone in the background didn't just erupt into laughter is insane too. I mean, that's the unexplained part. During a live morning broadcast in Honduras, journalist Carlos Molina was on air with co-host Pablo Zapata. They were just reading viewer messages at the desk. Pretty standard TV morning show stuff. Then mid-sentence, Carlos just stops. It's right in front of him, a glass of water on the table starts sliding across on its own. Not a tiny shake either. It actually moves clearly enough that both presenters, they notice it. And after the segment hit the air, the clip started getting shared around online, and Carlos said that something strange actually happened before the glass even moved. He described feeling a sudden chill run through his body right before it started sliding. He also made it clear nobody on the crew was messing around. Of course, glasses will sometimes slide when there's condensation underneath, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. The movement looks a lot more purposeful. It's not a subtle little slide, but What do you all think of this one? In March 2015, Coco 5 News in Oklahoma City was doing a pretty standard early morning traffic segment when their Skycam captured something flashing across the screen. A bright white object suddenly streaks through the frame at insane speed. The anchors didn't react in real time because it happened so fast, but viewers noticed it immediately. And once the footage got out, people started flooding the station asking what they just saw, and Coco took it seriously. They replayed the clip and then posted it online asking viewers to help figure out what it could be. It's too fast and too straight to be a plane. It doesn't match drone movement either, and it doesn't really drop like a meteor would. It cuts across the frame more like it's traveling sideways at a steady height. People also ruled out simple camera bugs or something on the lens because the light appears to pass behind distant clouds instead of just sitting on the glass. It also didn't line up with any known aircraft activity or scheduled flights in the area at the time. This one comes from a Reddit user named Amputee Hand Model, responding to a thread about strange broadcast interruptions. They wrote, "A somewhat odd one I witnessed 20 years ago or so. One of those emergency broadcast tests came on TV, but instead of the usual audio with the test warning script, it just played Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. I gotta wonder what the emergency was, because hopefully it wasn't serious. Anyone actually waiting for instructions on what to do was out of luck that day." In 2010, a Jamaican news station covered a story about a young boy who said he was being haunted by something called a duppy, which is basically a local word for a ghost. The crew records him talking about it while sitting in a chair, describing strange experiences and the feeling of some ominous presence around him. Suddenly, he gets pulled backward in his chair. Doesn't look like a slip or him pushing off the ground. He goes back fast. Something yanks him out of position. Later in the segment, things escalate again. He says he can actually see the spirit standing nearby, watching him. Right after that, he gets pulled backward again, similar to before, still fully in frame while it happens. And look how his body moves. One of his legs lifts into the air as he's sliding backward. Then when his mother rushes in and grabs him, his leg twists as she pulls him forward, like there's resistance or something interfering with his movement, even though you can't actually see anything on camera. It's a pretty crazy video. In April of 2020, during the early lockdowns, Pope Francis appeared at a window overlooking St. Peter's Square in Vatican City to give a blessing. It was part of a live broadcast. He steps out, acknowledges the crowd, delivers the blessing, and then turns to head back inside. But this clip ended up going viral, and not for the reason that you're probably thinking. Some viewers noticed that as he walked away from the window, he suddenly just disappeared. One moment he was there, the next frame he was gone. The clip started circulating online with people claiming that he disappeared into thin air during the live broadcast. Ending on a spooky note, in 2015, CNN reporter Katie Kairos and her cameraman Nick Petrillo went to a house in Hanover, Pennsylvania to film a segment about a woman named Deanna Simpson who said that her home was haunted. Deanna claimed she'd been dealing with it for about 7 years. She said it wasn't just strange noises. According to her, she'd been attacked by whatever was in the house along with her husband and their pets. She also said she heard voices and screaming at night when nobody else was around. Well, while they were filming, things did start getting weird. Nick, the cameraman, suddenly said his hand felt like it was burning. When he checked it, there were fresh scratch marks on his wrist. Deanna didn't react like it was new information. She told him, "It's because you're telling the story. They don't want it out there. That's their way of a warning." And then she sprinkled holy water on him. Katie Kairos later said she also felt something during the filming, describing it like being touched and pinched while they were inside the house. At one point, they even caught small orb-like shapes on camera. And after Deanna asked whatever was there to show itself, a door reportedly slammed shut on its own. Deanna said she had recordings too, including what sounded like children laughing when the house was supposedly empty. That has been the video. I will catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.